Welcome to a session on cost of equity. After listening to this lesson video, we'll be in a position to understand the method of computing cost of equity. Equity here refers to the equity share capital for a firm. Equity share capital is a permanent capital, and the holders of equity shares are the owners of the company, and they supply money or they invest in the shares of a company with the expectation of a fair return in terms of dividend and capital appreciation. So the expectation of the shareholder becomes cost to the company. Normally, when the expectation is increasing, obviously the cost to the company in terms of cost of equity will be higher, will keep on increasing. And ultimately, the overall firm's cost of capital will increase. So it has become obligatory on the part of the company to perform well, to earn more from return and pay in the form of dividend to the shareholders, by doing which the market price per share can be maximized and the capital appreciation becomes possible. So in this lesson video, we will be discussing about the method of computing the cost of equity. To estimate cost of equity, there are certain approaches: dividend growth approach, security market line approach, and earnings price ratio approach. First, let us consider the dividend growth approach. In case of dividend growth approach, if the dividend per share grows at a constant rate of G, that is the growth rate, constant rate of growth in terms of percentage, price per share will be calculated using this equation. That is, P naught is nothing but current market price, which is equal to D1, that is the amount of dividend a year hence, the expected dividend a year hence, divided by RE, that is cost of equity, otherwise called the return expected by the equity shareholders, minus growth rate. So by using this equation, we are discounting the estimated dividend a year hence by the difference between the return expected by the shareholders minus growth rate. So our objective is to calculate the return expected by the equity shareholders, which will not be generally available. So the amount of dividend a year hence, what a company would pay, can be calculated using the growth rate, and the current market price will be available in the economic dailies, in the newspaper. Using this, we can calculate the RE, that is the return expected by the equity shareholders. In that case, the equation can be like this. The equation will be like this. So RE is equal to D1 discounted at the current market price plus growth rate. So there are two components involved here. D1 divided by P naught is nothing but the dividend yield, current dividend yield, plus growth rate. So cost of equity, or the return expected by the equity shareholder, is equal to dividend yield plus growth rate. How that the growth rate is estimated? Analysts forecast the growth rate taking into account the annual growth rate that is averaged, the annual growth rate of preceding 5 to 10 years is averaged to find out the growth rate. The term as such, growth rate, means the sustainable growth rate which is calculated by multiplying retention rate with the return on equity.
Now let us consider an example. Suppose dividend per share of a firm is expected to be rupee 1 next year and is expected to grow at 6% perpetually, constantly. The question is, determine the cost of equity capital assuming the market price per share is rupees 25. So the equation to calculate KE, that is cost of equity, is equal to D1 divided by current market price, that is P0, plus growth rate. So D1 is dividend per share expected next year or a year hence, and P0 is the current market price and G is the growth rate. So here the D1 is given as rupee 1 divided by P0, which is 25. Its current market price is given as rupees 25, plus growth rate 6%. So 6%. So this is nothing but 4 plus 6, 10% is the cost of equity. Dividend approach can be used to determine the market value of a share in different years. Say for example, for year 1 and 2, we can calculate the theoretical value of a share. For example, price a year hence P1 can be calculated using this equation, which is D2 divided by KE minus G, growth rate. So D2 is equal to D1 into 1 plus G. So it will be 1 rupee in the base year, the dividend per share. So into 1 plus growth rate will be rupees 1.06 divided by KE is 10% minus growth rate is 6%. So this will become rupees 26 and 50 paisa. So this is the theoretical price expected in year 1, considering the growth rate of 6%. For the dividend per share given in question as rupee 1. Similarly, for the second year, you can do again P2 nothing but D3 divided by KE minus G. As usual, it is going to be 1.06 into 1.06 divided by 10% minus 6%. So this is nothing but 1.124. 1.124 divided by 0.04. So the theoretical price expected in year 2 will be rupees 28. So dividend growth approach can be used to calculate cost of equity when the market price is given. And once you know the cost of equity, considering the growth rate, you can calculate the theoretical expected price per share for subsequent years. That's the advantage of this dividend growth or dividend valuation approach.
Now we move on to the second approach, security market line approach. In this approach, this equation is applied. RE, that is the return expected by the equity shareholders, or otherwise the cost of equity, is equal to risk-free rate. RF is the risk-free rate, and the equity beta of the company multiplied by expected market rate of return of the portfolio minus risk-free rate. That is, this component is called the risk premium. That is the market return of the portfolio. Expected market return minus risk-free rate will give you the risk premium, which is to be multiplied by the equity beta. And if you add it with the risk-free rate, you get the return expected by the equity shareholders, or the cost of equity. Let us now consider an illustration. If risk-free rate is 7% and the equity beta is 1.2 and the expected market return or expected return on market portfolio is 15%, substituting the numbers in the formula, you can get the return on equity at 16.6%. So what is this risk-free rate? It is the zero risk interest rate. Normally, the treasury bill interest rates are considered as a risk-free rate of interest. And the equity beta is calculated. And what is equity beta? It is the sensitivity of a security. So sensitivity means how frequently it fluctuates. Okay, how the extent to which it is volatile to market movements is called beta. Here we are applying it to the price movements of the equity stock. So we are calling it as equity beta. So for any price movements, the sensitivity of the concerned financial security for which the beta can be calculated. It represents the extent to which the return on a security fluctuates with the return on market portfolio. By definition, the beta for market portfolio is 1. If the return on market portfolio is expected to increase by 10%, the return on the security with a beta of 1.5 is expected to increase by 15%. If a security has a beta of 0.76, the return is less volatile than the market portfolio. Now let us move on to the inputs for the security market line. While there is disagreement among finance practitioners, the following would serve. The risk-free rate may be estimated as the yield on long-term bonds that have a maturity of 10 years or more. The market risk premium may be estimated as the difference between the average return on the market portfolio and the average risk-free rate over the past 10 to 30 years. The beta of the stock may be calculated by regressing the monthly returns on the market index over the past 60 months or so.
Now let us consider the graph to understand the SML approach, security market line approach. With regard to calculation of cost of equity. See, under this approach, KE is equal to risk-free rate or the risk-free cost of capital plus the risk premium times of the beta or the equity beta times of the risk premium. So the risk up to certain extent is non-diversifiable and it is common to everyone in the market, every investor, which is non-diversifiable. It may be because of inflation, maybe due to macroeconomic factors, changes in the purchasing power, whereas the diversifiable risk is very much firm specific, which can be diversified by combining securities of various industries. It is diversifiable. Whereas it is non-diversifiable. So when the risk level increases, the risk-free rate of return will remain the same. There won't be any change. It will remain the same. It will be constant no matter the risk level. Whereas when the risk level is less, when the stock beta is less, maybe at 0.5, whereas the normal is at 1, and risk at the higher level, let us assume 1.5. In that case, your premium also increases. Just see, when the risk level is 0.5, your risk premium is somewhere here. Whereas when it is 1.5, the risk premium is greater. The risk premium is higher, because of which the expectation will also be higher. Say for example, if risk-free rate is 7% and the stock beta at 0.5 and let us assume 1 and 1.5, and the market return or return of the market portfolio, expected return of the market portfolio is 16%. Let us assume. In that case, when your beta is 0.5, it will be 7% plus 0.5 time of 9%. So the cost of equity, if beta is at 0.5, assuming the risk-free rate of 7% and the risk premium is 9%, your KE will be 11.5%. If KE, that is cost of equity, when your stock beta is 1, it will be 7% is the risk-free rate plus 1 time of 9% is the market premium. In that case, the cost of equity will be 16%. Whereas in the third scenario, where the beta is 1.5, the KE will be 7% plus 1.5 times of the risk premium, which is 9%. In that case, the KE will be 20.5%. So if risk is 1 time, your return or the cost of equity will be at 16%. So 7% is your KF. So the 9% is your risk premium. When your risk level is at 1 time, the cost of equity will be at 16%. Whereas when your risk level is at 0.5 time, when your stock beta is at 0.5, your return will be somewhere at 11.5%. So it is half the time of your risk premium, 4.5%. So it is 11.5% is your KE, required rate of return, nothing but KE. Whereas when your risk level is on the higher side, when it is 1.5 times, so the cost of equity will be 20.5%. So 13.5% is your risk premium. The risk premium is same, whereas because of the beta factor, the risk premium has increased to 13.5%, because of which the cost of equity is at 20.5%.
Now we move on to the third approach, earnings price approach. So under this approach, cost of equity is equal to E1, that is the expected EPS for the next year, divided by the P0, which is the current market price. So this approach provides an accurate measure in the following two cases. When the EPS is constant and the dividend payout ratio is 100%. And when retained earnings earn a rate of return equal to the cost of equity. So these are the two requirements. If the result arrived using this equation is to be accurate and appropriate. So now let us consider numerical examples to understand the approaches to calculate the cost of equity.
Let's now consider an example to understand earnings price ratio approach to calculate cost of equity. According to the question, currently earning rupees 10 lakhs and its share is selling at a market price of rupees 80. And the firm has 1 lakh shares in the market, outstanding in the market, and it has no debt. And the firm's earnings are expected to be stable in the years to come. And it has a payout ratio of 100%. And the question is to find out the cost of equity. So we are going to use the earnings price ratio approach to compute the cost of equity. See, normally the method will not be deliberated in the question. Depending upon the information, you should select the method. When the DPS is given, that is the dividend per share, when DPS, nothing but dividend per share is given, and the growth rate is given, current market price is given, you have to use the dividend approach, that is D1 by P0 plus G. When earnings are given in the question, we have to first calculate the earnings per share. So EPS is equal to 10 lakhs divided by 1 lakh shares is equal to rupees 10. So KE is equal to EPS 1 expected a year hence, based on discounted by the current market price, which is rupees 80 here in the question. So rupees 10 divided by 80 is equal to 0.125 or 12.5%. Similarly, when the risk-free rate and the beta factor and the risk premium is available, it is the expected return of market portfolio is available in a question, you should follow the SML approach. SML, or is also called as CAPM, Capital Asset Pricing Model approach to be followed. So it is not necessary that the question should deliberate you the method by which, depending upon the information given in question, you should select the method. Hope you are in a position to understand various methods of calculating cost of equity. Thank you.